So we welcome to the show Gregory Wrightstone, author of Inconvenient Facts, and part of the CO2 Coalition. Welcome.
Good to be back on with you, Pat.
What brings you to town this time?
Well, I believe it or not, I've been invited to speak tomorrow at the EarthX convention. It's the largest Earth Day celebration on Earth. They're expecting more than 200,000 people at this celebration. 200,000 people
in person. Or
going
really?
through this. It's over at the convention center here in Dallas.
Wow.
And they've got a pre-convention seminar on all things climate change related. And I'm on the energy situation. I'm going to talk tomorrow about the future of fossil fuels in America, and specifically the vast natural gas accumulation we have, particularly in the eastern United States. It's incredible.
Oh, you're not going to tell them that we're at peak oil?
No.
Okay. Huh. Weird.
No, we've got reserves of natural gas here that could fuel the Earth. Europe,
I know.
Asia.
I know.
And have lots left out for decades and decades in the future.
Where do you I don't buy even into the fossil fuel situation. I think oil is a renewable goo that just forms in the earth. Because we've been at peak oil, according to them, the other side of this, so many times over the last century or so. And every time they say we're hitting peak oil, we find some other vast reserve, like the Bakken Reserve.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying into that, Pat.
You're not?
No, not at all.
So you do think they're fossil fuels?
Well, it's fossil fuels, but not fossils. People imagine dinosaurs and critters.
Yeah.
For the most part, I don't go too deep in the weeds for your viewers here, but for the most part, it's algal blooms in the ocean that accumulate. They bloom, they die, they fall to the ocean floor, they bloom, they die. And this happens over thousands of millions of years, and they build up and build up and build up. And we see that the Bakken, the Marcellus Shale in the East, the Utica, Eagleford Shale here in Texas, all of those, that oil was generated by those black organic rich shales that then are buried deeply and heated. It's converted to oil and then heated a little bit more and converted to natural gas. And so that's the process. It's been pretty well confirmed. There was that theory of deep abiogenic oil that went around, spread by the Russians 30 years ago, but that's been thoroughly debunked.
Because I have seen, and I can't point to the exact article, but I've seen some interesting thoughts on it being some sort of renewable source, but apparently I'm even kookier than you are to the left.
No, I get that a lot. That's one that a lot of people believe that, but as a science, I spent most of my career doing this. And
so tell us about this new comic book lauding the benefits of CO2.
Oh, it's heads are exploding right now.
I bet.
This will be the first in a series of 4 books. The first book we have is called Once Upon a Time, This True Story of the Miracle Molecule Carbon Dioxide, touting the benefits of carbon dioxide. Our second book, I've reviewed the first edition of it, Simon the Solar-Powered Cat. And it's really imaginative, attractive. We've got a talented Brazilian artist that does these comic books anime style. So what we want to do is present the science to school children without the woke
I love that
stuff.
That's awesome.
And there's so much they can learn about photosynthesis.
Have you been successful getting this into schools?
We're not. We just got it in front of some Houston big players in the Houston school district that was favorably received.
Okay.
We're not. I don't want to blow this up yet. I want to wait until we get the 4 books out, and then with your help, we've got friends with Candace Owens. The people at the Daily Wire are big proponents of children's non-woke books. We've already prepared 4 lesson plans, so we want to go out to the homeschool community as well.
Nice.
I'm really excited about the potential to reach out to the homeschool. I've had great response. People are excited about getting this information, and it's filling a niche of science for that community.
Yeah, that's great. And this is told in a way that kids are going to appreciate. I mean, it does look like an anime comic book. It's awesome. Looks really good.
And we got a series of videos that are really cool. I play the voice of Mr. Fish. And, of course, Mr. Fish has a silver mustache, so which is pretty funny. And
okay.
But, again, it's done anime style as well.
When you travel around the country and run into people who are global warmists, and they tell you things like, we have 9 years left, or we're going to be extinct as a civilization if we don't do something radical. How do you respond to that?
I have yet to run into a person like that. I talk to a lot of people. I find that this notion of man-made catastrophic warming is a mile wide and an inch deep. People just have never heard this information that we talk about and present. The science, they've been, any of the science, facts, and data that goes against that narrative is excluded. We're shut down. We're silenced. You'll see an article that I'm quoted in the Heritage's Daily Signal this morning. There was a poll released yesterday by the 4-H Club. 87% of their students said that they believed in this notion of man-made catastrophic warming.
Oh, yeah.
And I contend that's because that's all they've been taught. That's all they've heard. They've never heard that CO2 is beneficial. They've never heard that tornadoes...
It's essential for life.
Yeah, all they know, they don't know that tornadoes and hurricanes are declining or the forest fires are 20%
No, because
they're
told the exact opposite of that. They're told that hurricanes and tornadoes are becoming more intense and they're more frequent. And they won't hear anything else.
Exactly.
When you tell them the truth, they don't believe it.
Exactly. Well, hurricanes are good. They're saying that named hurricanes are increasing, and they're correct. Named hurricanes are increasing because they're naming them earlier. So it's not that the hurricanes themselves are increasing, but they're naming more of them.
Right.
And so they twist the statistics like that and use it to promote this climate of fear, if you will, to promote this agenda.
Yeah, it's despicable.
I got a question for you, because you recently wrote about the natural gas reserves, trillions upon trillions of cubic feet available there, right? This would it not bring jobs to what is historically the most economically depressed area of our country, Appalachia?
It would, and it does. It's an incredible resource. And for example, the National Environmental Policy Act was this is dangerous. 2 days ago, Biden administration's pushing that. It was a liquefied natural gas facility in north central Pennsylvania was killed. $800 million facility because of the lawsuits, litigation, protests against it. And they were going to liquefy that gas and ship it to New Jersey to a new multi-billion-dollar liquefied LNG facility for export. It's also dead because of this litigation. And that's the problem with developing the reserves in that area is how do we get it out? New York has banned any pipelines, so you can't take it north to New England where it's really needed. They're paying 5, 6, 8 times
what are we doing?
The cost of what gas is in Pennsylvania. It's a sad state of affairs. That's the big problem. We need to figure out how we can loosen up the pipeline regulations. And Joe Biden just made it worse 2 days ago with this. It's called NEPA.
Speaking of Joe Biden, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but we had a story earlier this week where they opened up some parcels for drilling on federal lands. Very small amount approved, and then of course now the government's going to get a larger chunk of that. Is that going to help any?
I'm hesitating because what he put up for lease was 20% of what Trump had proposed.
Right.
And not only that, they've increased the royalty by 50%. Well, let's say there are fewer parcels to bid on, so fewer attractive things, and they're making it less economic.
Right.
Well, as a business, what business? You don't go into business to lose money. You go into business
and then when the oil companies don't take them up on that great deal, they blame the oil companies.
Yeah, exactly.
They demonize them.
Yeah, the same people that called them up 2 weeks ago and had them before Congress, a year ago had them in front of Congress saying, you have to stop producing oil. Tell us how you're going to decarbonize. Now this year they're saying, why aren't you producing more oil? And one of the congressmen, in one moment she says, you need to produce less oil. And then 30 seconds later she said, you need to produce more gasoline. Well, how does that work? Tell me how that works.
I hope she was called on that.
What do you want to bet she doesn't know that oil and gasoline are somewhat connected?
Huh?
No. That's like telling an apple producer, produce less apples, but you need to produce more applesauce.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So how long, because we're depleting our strategic petroleum reserve.
Yeah, just 1 million barrels a day, though. That's all.
And it's going to Europe. But do you know how long it's going to take to replenish that stock?
Well, they could. It's just how much the problem is going to be when you replenish
The
it.
cost.
Is the cost.
Yeah.
Trump filled it up when oil was at what $25 a barrel.
Yeah.
So it was filled up at a very low cost. The big problem here is the oil that's not being produced in Alaska. The national, not the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the National Petroleum Reserve of Alaska was set aside specifically to develop this vast oil accumulation up there. He's canceled that. He canceled the National Wildlife, Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, ANWR, in there. Probably the largest undeveloped oil accumulation, and it compounds because the Prudhoe Bay pipeline is nearing its economic life. So there's barely enough oil flowing through that to keep it economic. Those other two fields were going to flow through that, and it would extend the life of that pipeline.
Yeah, you mentioned ANWR. They've done such a great job of propaganda with ANWR. They make it sound like it's pristine and beautiful, and they're saving trees and lush life and moose and elk and all manner of life there. And then you look at the area that is being talked about, and it's a barren wasteland, basically.
Yeah, there are mosquitoes the size of Shetland ponies.
Yeah.
You know, that's about all. And it was that too. That portion of it was designated for oil development, and it was scheduled. And again, once that Prudhoe Bay pipeline is decommissioned, once it's reached, they will decommission it. All the remaining oil up there will be stranded, probably in perpetuity.
Jeez, unbelievable.
Oh. So these just a compounding of things. And again, this National Energy or Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, that was just promoted Tuesday, it's going to affect all types of construction in the United States, not just energy, that will have to go under this review. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. Any effect that might happen in the past or in the future that's related to a bridge. If you're going to build a new bridge or add on to a bridge, well, that might means that more internal combustion engines pass across that bridge, and that's going to help. That's going to hurt climate change. It's going to hurt us all.
How do people get a hold of your book? This Once Upon a Time.
Well, it's that particular book.
Is it not available yet?
It's not available yet.
Okay,
we're going to be doing that. I'm looking into. I want to get the other books out and then blow it up. And
That's going to be great.
I'm going to look for Pat, for you and Keith to help us market this. Okay. I think it's just a tremendous resource.
That's a great idea. I'm so glad somebody's taking the ball and running with it and going to the kids, because you can see who else
they
has
have
been
to
having
hear both sides.
Yeah, we see who's had access.
You should see the people in this education committee that have put this together. These are PhDs in physics, chemistry, energy experts.
That's
just
great.
Talent. These aren't just run-of-the-mill people. These are people that know what they're doing.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Gregory. Gregory Wrightstone of the CO2coalition.org. Is that where people get more information?
CO2coalition.org. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck. And this is going to be great when you get it all together and are ready to release it.